The courtroom wasn't just listening anymore, it was spellbound. The judge, the jury, the press, everyone knew they were witnessing a turning point. And Diddy? He was sweating through his suit. One of his attorneys offered him water. He declined. Another slid him a pen and a pad. He stared at it blankly. No one needed to say it aloud. They were watching a collapse. Immediately after the recording ended, the defense filed an emergency motion to exclude the audio from evidence. The reasoning? Prince wasn't alive to confirm its context or allow for cross-examination. But the prosecution was prepared. They had spent 4 months authenticating the file. 3 separate forensic audio specialists had signed off. Chain of custody was airtight. The judge didn't hesitate. Motion denied. What if the most powerful testimony in a courtroom didn't come from a witness, a lawyer, or a judge, but from a man who's been gone for nearly a decade? That's exactly what happened on day 3 of one of the most explosive and highly scrutinized celebrity trials in recent history. As the third day unfolded, what began as a routine continuation of legal proceedings turned into a moment so stunning, so unprecedented, that it left the entire courtroom breathless. When the voice of Prince, yes, that Prince, filled the room, it didn't just echo from a speaker, it dropped like a thunderclap. And for Sean Diddy Combs, it was the moment everything changed. The judge entered, formalities were exchanged, and then everything changed. The lead prosecutor stood up and announced the introduction of new evidence, something not seen in the first 2 days. A black audio device recently authenticated. The defense erupted in protest. Too late, the judge ruled the recording was admissible. Then came the words that froze the entire room. This is the final private recording made by Prince Rogers Nelson before his death. A collective breath was held. Journalists paused mid-keystroke. A woman in the third row covered her mouth. Even the judge leaned forward. And Diddy? His face turned gray. Diddy entered the room as he had on previous days, poised, polished, and playing the part of a man fully in control of his destiny. He flashed a confident smile at a familiar face in the gallery. His navy suit was custom-tailored, his posture straight, his energy calm. To the untrained eye, he looked unshakable. His legal team surrounded him like a wall, leaning in with quiet strategy sessions and synchronized movements. On the surface, he was every bit the titan he's always portrayed himself to be. But that morning, beneath the surface, something was stirring, something even he didn't see coming. Now, the true brilliance of the prosecution became clear. They didn't just happen to play the recording on day 3. They waited. Let Diddy relax. Let him feel safe. Then dropped the bomb. They knew his patterns, knew that by day 3 his guard would be down, knew that his reaction wouldn't just damage his case, it would define it. This wasn't luck. This was a legal ambush, executed with surgical precision. Then it happened. Midway through the recording, as Prince began recounting specific events from December 2015, events corroborated by witness testimony and digital evidence, Diddy exploded. As the trial continued into the afternoon, the prosecution methodically tied Prince's statements to their existing timeline. Exhibits, testimonies, photographic evidence. Every piece fit tighter now. The foundation was stronger than ever, and the man once seen as untouchable now looked like he couldn't breathe. The audio began, and the recording? It wasn't over. The courtroom had been buzzing since early morning. From the moment the courthouse doors opened, reporters, spectators, and insiders could sense something was different. Journalists raced to secure front-row seating. Court sketch artists sharpened pencils like they were preparing for battle. There was tension, but no one quite knew why. At first glance, it seemed like just another day in a celebrity trial. Expensive suits, hurried whispers, legal teams reviewing notes. But then you noticed the security. It wasn't just tighter, it was doubled. 4 uniformed officers flanked the defendant's table alone. The extra presence wasn't explained, but everyone noticed. By the end of the day, Diddy's legal team filed a second motion, this time to delay proceedings. They cited emotional distress and the need to regroup. The judge refused. This trial will continue without delay, he ruled sternly, and I expect no further disruptions. And Diddy? His face turned gray. His entire body seemed to freeze. His jaw tensed. His eyes narrowed. For the first time in 3 days, the mask slipped. Prince continued. He spoke of NDAs, payouts, people who were paid to stay silent. He named names. He described how young artists were separated from their teams, led into rooms where they couldn't say no. He mentioned financial amounts. $2 million here, $1.3 million there, figures that matched the exact records the prosecution had introduced earlier in the week. One by one, the dots connected. In the hours following the hearing, the courthouse buzzed with tension. Legal analysts called it one of the most explosive moments in celebrity trial history. TV networks scrambled to update coverage. Hashtags trended, pundits speculated, but the defense, they were reeling. Their motion had failed. Their client had lost control. Their narrative had imploded, and the jury had seen every second of it. Because if one recording could bring a courtroom to its knees, what happens if there's more? "That's a lie," he shouted, standing up so abruptly that his chair scraped backward. His voice echoed through the courtroom like a gunshot. A reporter in the front row jolted visibly. One juror dropped their pen. 4 security officers immediately moved closer to the defense table. The judge pounded his gavel so hard it left a dent. The silence was instant and suffocating. You could hear the scratch of a pen stop mid-sentence. A woman near the back gasped audibly. In the front row, a man's hands trembled so visibly his pen hit the floor. Those words hit harder than any accusation. They were a warning, a plea, a legacy, and they left everyone in the courtroom wondering, what else is in that vault? No one said it aloud, but everyone understood. Diddy had been outplayed. He'd entered the courtroom with power, but he left that day with panic in his eyes and the weight of a ghost's testimony hanging over him. In 7 seconds, the carefully curated image of Diddy as calm and composed had completely unraveled. The prosecution calmly stood and addressed the court. "Your Honor, at this time, the government would like to present a piece of critical audio evidence recently authenticated by our forensic team." She held up the black recording device, its unassuming appearance betraying the bomb it was about to drop. Prince's recording hadn't just introduced new evidence, it had validated everything already presented. Financial records, texts, witness testimony. It confirmed suspicions that had lingered in whispers for years. It brought clarity to confusion, order to chaos. And it did something no living witness could. It forced the court to listen without interruption, without bias, without fear. If anything happens to me, make sure this gets to the right people. This isn't just about protecting myself. It's about protecting everyone who hasn't been able to speak up. The voice was unmistakable, but it wasn't Prince the performer. It was Prince the man. Quiet, anxious, measured. "I'm making this recording because I don't know who to trust anymore." There was no music, no theatrics, just truth. Layered, cautious, deliberate. He spoke of gatherings at Diddy's properties, private rooms, separated guests, strange behavior that always felt staged. "What happens at these parties isn't just wrong, it's criminal," Prince said. And so the trial continues. But one thing is now certain, nothing will be the same again, because the most powerful man in the room isn't even alive anymore. And that voice, clear, calm, and impossible to ignore, might have just changed everything. Changed everything.